eyebrows being raised here with Trump meeting the Syrian president, but not meeting Benjamin Netanyahu. Do you think that the Abraham Accords and regional integration has perhaps been quietly downgraded as a U.S. priority at this point?
Well, we did hear from President Trump how important he found the Abraham Accords. He's spoken about that at several moments during this visit. He also urged the Syrian president to consider the Abraham Accords and to consider joining. Of course, that's very difficult for Syria at a time when the Israelis have actually gone in and taken new territory from Syria, and the occupation of the Golan continues. So I think there's still an importance. However, the Saudis were very clear ahead of the visit. This was not going to be a visit that would focus on normalizing or establishing ties with Israel. And especially given this dire situation in Gaza with famine and with suffering of the Palestinians, this was not going to happen. So there's a sense that if there is going to be a move forward when it comes to peace in the region, it's going to have to come from the Israeli leadership at the moment, and they're not seeing that. Of course, on the sidelines, we've had Steve Witkoff, the Middle East envoy, and really Donald Trump's trusted official at this point to try to bring a ceasefire deal in Gaza, to release the hostages, but all important to get some aid into Gaza. All of those issues were discussed. And again, Steve Witkoff has been in the region, was at the state dinner last night in Abu Dhabi. And so these talks are happening. I think in terms of Abraham Accords, Donald Trump is very proud of what he was able to achieve in his first term. He said he wants to build on it. Dynamics on the ground are very difficult. And at the moment, there doesn't seem to be an Israeli partner, and that's not just the view of many people in the region. It seems also that the administration in the U.S. has some concerns. However, we mustn't forget that Benjamin Netanyahu did go to Washington and has met with Mr. Trump in the White House, but all the readouts from those meetings were clear that there is daylight between them on the way forward. And it's clear again that Donald Trump is a president that wants to see resolution, wants to see deals, wants to see end of wars. And at the moment, Benjamin Netanyahu is not giving him that.
I think you're exactly right. Of course, the president really wants to push this forward. He is proud of his achievements under Trump 1 and the Abraham Accords, of course, a really significant regional deal. But you also get the sense that leaders in this part of the world have given up on Israel and Netanyahu as a credible peace partner. Is that fair?
I think that is fair. Certainly for this current government, I don't think they've given up on the idea of long-term peace with Israel and the Palestinians. You know, it's very clear that there has to be a Palestinian state. Again, all the Arab countries, all the GCC countries are in agreement on this. You know, amongst the flurry of diplomacy that's been happening in the region, you know, people might have missed the fact that we also had a very senior Palestinian official come to the UAE and meet with Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed, the foreign minister here, Hassan al-Sheikh, who's seen as the presumed successor, Mahmoud Abbas, just a few days ago. So there's constant work on this, but unfortunately from the Israeli side, there is no traction. And especially with the dire situation inside of Gaza, there is a real push here. Let's get aid in, let's relieve some of the pain, elevate some of the pain of the Palestinians. And so far, they haven't seen any serious effort from the Israeli side to do that. And so for the moment, there's concern. However, the long-term outlook is we want peace. We understand that Israel would be integrated in the region, but they also have to accept a Palestinian country, a Palestinian state, and long-term peace. That also concerns Lebanon and Syria. We've seen some very concerning developments when it comes to Lebanon and Syria. And the Gulf is invested in the stability of Lebanon and Syria. Israel at the moment is not adding to the stability in either country.